Hi, my name is Rick Weswitz, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the features from Absolute Newsletter from Sigla Software. Absolute Newsletter is a powerful marketing application that will allow you to easily build HTML and text-based newsletters for your target audience. With Absolute Newsletter, you will improve your business by boosting your email advertising and communication. Please join with me as I take the next few minutes to show you the power of Absolute Newsletter. Let's begin at a demo site. We'll call it yoursite.com. It might look a lot like your website. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a section that says Join Our Mailing Lists. As with all Sigla products, this section is completely customizable to your look and feel. In general, this is the central point for your user when they want to subscribe to one of your newsletters. And unlike with most newsletter systems, we don't just leave your user hanging out there with no real ability to manage their subscriptions. By clicking on Manage Subscriptions at the bottom of this widget, your user will be brought to their Manage Subscription login page. In this case, we will log in as our test user. Here, you can keep their personal information up to date, and below that, they can with one click subscribe or unsubscribe to any or all of your newsletters in this one centralized location. You can see that we at Sigla Software have made it very easy for your user to get up-to-date information from you and your business. Now, let's step back from our user and focus on how you would use the system. We'll begin at the login page of our demo website. I'll log in as the site administrator, and we are immediately brought to the Browse Newsletter page, which shows much good information that you will find useful when administering the system. The top section contains an advanced searching system, and the bottom contains the listing of your newsletters according to your search. Information about each newsletter is shown in the listing, including last updated date, the date the newsletter was released, and more. You can even override the newsletter's schedule for delivery and send the newsletter now by clicking on the Send Now right from this section. Now, let's look at a newsletter in more detail. Let's scroll down till we get to This is a test newsletter. Let's click that. You are now in the View Newsletter section. On the left are some of the newsletter's properties which you saw on the master listing page, including the subject and updated date. But here you'll see more information as well, including the number of recipients for your email list and the list this newsletter is associated with. But I'd like you to focus for a second on one very useful feature: the direct link. So far, you may have considered Absolute Newsletter to be for email lists only. And while that is one of its main purposes, that is not its sole purpose. Absolute Newsletter is for creating newsletters. And a great way to display a newsletter is on a web page. So let me take that direct link, I'll copy it, open a new browser window, and paste in that link. And voila, there is your newsletter on a standalone web page. Imagine you could put this link into blog posts, forums, or even send it right away to friends. They would be able to see your company's information right away. This is incredibly powerful. Now, let's move on and return to the Properties window. Note that on the right you have a rendering of what the newsletter will look like. I don't have time to get into it, but you can also track emails sent, certain clicked links, and how many people read your email by clicking on the lower tabs. But now let's move into the fully featured newsletter editor by clicking on Edit Newsletter. As I scroll down, you'll see the plethora of information given to you to choose from, including the status of the newsletter and a schedule for when to send it, right down to the exact hour and minute. Below that, you'll see the HTML editor for the newsletter body. This editor is very powerful. So let's begin to type some text. How about I apply a style to this? And I'll put in a radio button. And finally, I'll enter a link. You'll note that you are seeing a rendering of your HTML as you enter it. Now check this out. Let's click the Source button at the top, and now you see the HTML code for your design. There is much to this designer, and I'll let you experiment with it for yourself in the demo. Now, Absolute Newsletter is not just for HTML newsletters. If we continue to scroll down, you'll see a part where you can enter text information if your newsletter is going to be plain text only. There is one more feature here I'd like to highlight before we click Save, and that's the link tracking system. You may want to see if people are actually clicking the links on your newsletter. That's no problem. We built it right into the system already. So to show you, let's open the link tracking section. We want to track people's clicks on a link to our website, so I'll type www.sigla.com into the URL to track section, and I'll press Generate Link. I can now take this link and put it in my newsletter, and I have a tracked link. Pretty cool. I can now click Save on my newsletter and move on. And that's all there is to it. Really powerful, really quick. That's Absolute Newsletter. All this, and I've only touched on the application. You can edit lists, add users to the back end, and more. But don't just take my word for it. Go to our website and try it for yourself. If your marketing department has been looking for a newsletter management tool, then your choice is already made, and it's Absolute. Absolute Newsletter from Sigla Software.